Once again, I'm Jeff Partridge, and I am the chair of the Humanities Department at Capital Community College. Previously in the morning, for those of you who are here, and that's most of you, I gave an overview of our project. So I'm not going to do that again, but let me just say briefly that what we are doing at Capital Community College is an initiative of place-based education. Exactly what Bill Hosley talked about. That's exactly what we're trying to do, and we have been really thrilled with the cooperation, the immediate cooperation we received from local museums, many of whom are represented here today. And what we want to do in this last panel is to kind of give you a sense from a faculty participant perspective and from a student perspective what the impact has been so far. Kristen, could you come up to the front? Thanks. I have several members of my American literature class who have volunteered to share about the experience of place-based education in my American literature class. And what we have done, just very briefly, we've done 7 different events. We've visited the Amistad Center to look at the War Prizes exhibition that talks about the Civil War and the influence on African American culture, and we did that in conjunction with reading Harriet Beecher Stowe's Uncle Tom's Cabin and Mark Twain's Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. We also went to those 2 houses for a 3-hour tour. It sounds like Gilligan's Island, And we had a wonderful time there with a discussion, a lecture done by Sonia Green and Craig Hotchkiss, and then a tour of both houses. We have also we saw The Crucible at the Hartford stage. We also saw a new play by a Latino-American playwright at the Hartford stage called Water by the Spoonful. We visited the Wadsworth Athenaeum to look at visual examples in visual culture of a shift from classical art and traditional art to modernist art and then to abstract art, in order to understand the same things that we were reading in terms of poetry and the modernist writing of the early 20th century. And today, after this, our students will get a chance to tour the old State House, because we're reading a poem by Robert Hayden called Middle Passage, which has a huge section in there about the Amistad. And so we're connecting the things that we're doing with the places at our disposal. You also know that what we're doing in creating the courses that are going to be launched next year is that we have had 14 faculty members going out on these seminars in all of these places. So I'm going to start with our faculty. Femi Bogalasagai and John Christie are both members of our faculty team who are doing this, and there are others here too. I see Pedro Valentin in the back there, our art professor. And what I've asked them to do is to basically share with you what the experience has done for them. So Femi, would you please begin?
Good afternoon, or is it good morning? I think it's still good morning. Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here to speak with you all, and I'm assuming that you're all in the museum industry, perhaps, or most of you are in the museum industry. Let me just say that for me, as a professor of philosophy at Capital Community College, I'm very, very excited about this particular initiative. Why? Because it allows faculty, particularly faculty who are interested in curricula that represents the entire broad spectrum of humans. This particular project or initiative allows us as professors to develop curricula that is representative of the entire college community and the Connecticut population, because we can actually use the history of Connecticut, and Connecticut has very, very rich history, to, if you like, not only teach that which is micro, that relates purely to Connecticut or the greater Hartford area, but also that which is more universal and global, if you will, because the communities that now live in the greater Hartford area are new, if you will, migrant communities or immigrants who don't always necessarily see themselves as a part of the history of Connecticut or Hartford. But indeed they are. So that, for example, the tobacco photograph that you saw a moment ago, we could certainly connect that to the very large Caribbean community that is here in the greater Hartford area, as well as to the indigenous, in inverted commas, if you will, African-American community, because there are still people coming from the Caribbean who are working in the tobacco industry, if you will, that is still here. Similarly, the entire history of people coming out of the Caribbean is very much connected to Britain, to Spain, and to the United States. It is important that we as educators recognize that we have the opportunity to choose, and we choose and construct the curricula that we would like to advance. And to the extent that we do that and we are interested in our own preservation, if you will, it becomes important that we find ways to link and to connect that which exists and is regarded as old Connecticut, if you will, to that which could exist and should exist, because that allows us to continue with what is here, as well as incorporate that which is absolutely necessary to be incorporated, because after all, we are one community. Let me just finish by saying it was useful to hear, let me not get his name wrong. Thank you, Mr. Horsley, who spoke about the business of civic responsibility. Civic responsibility is very much connected to our sense of place. And there is indeed a disconnect, not just within the state of Connecticut, but obviously throughout the country, and that we're talking about. You know, similarly, our moral and ethical responsibility. Again, as humans, we make choices because we construct our reality. And we can construct that reality by including all human beings, or we can make the decision to ignore some. Professor Partridge has given us the opportunity in the Humanities Department to be able to engage in that kind of conversation and to be able to produce work that will incorporate not just the rich history of the state of Connecticut, Hartford in particular, but all of the population. And I leave it to my colleague, John.
Thank you, Femi. Before we move on to John Christie, I just want to add there about where this opportunity came from. It is absolutely vital to recognize that it is the National Endowment for the Humanities that has made this possible. I can't tell you what $98,000 can do. I mean, it is just amazing. It has transformed our department. It has made changes in our school. It's impacted students, and it's going to impact more students, and it's connected us to a community of people who are like-minded and are excited about this shared mission. And without that money, we wouldn't be able to be doing what we're doing. So I really want to recognize the National Endowment for the Humanities for this great opportunity. Now, moving on then to John Christie, a professor of English.
It seems like I begin everything I say about this project by going back in time. I'm the senior, the seasoned member of the department. But I was thinking about this, and back on Woodland Street, not too long ago, for some inexplicable reason, it would never have occurred to me to take my class to the Mark Twain House or the Harry Beecher Stowe House. I didn't know what Nook Farm meant. There was a project a long time ago to bring a college downtown, and they had newspaper articles in the Hartford Current about bringing the University of Connecticut downtown. And I remember I wrote an op-ed letter to the paper saying the Capitol should move downtown. Capitol, which was going through a name change. We were Greater Hartford, and then we were Greater Hartford Technical, and there was a movement to actually name the school Mark Twain College, which was very popular among the faculty. That was nixed for all kinds of reasons, and we became Capital. But to me, it's symbolic of the disconnect of our school with this community, with Hartford, with Greater Hartford. And then we moved downtown, and still, we're a community college, but we're not always a community. We are a lot of adjuncts, 90-something% are adjunct teachers. The humanities department, you may think, is a giant place. It's not. There are only 5 English teachers, 1 philosophy teacher, 1 art teacher in the back of the room, 1 music teacher, and for 15 years we didn't have any music teacher. We have no foreign language. It's a very small school. And I'm mentioning all that because it's my job to bring up the past, I guess, but because this project has done things to our department and our school, which Jeff was just alluding to, which is fundamentally important, and doing what the original idea of a college downtown was supposed to do, which was have an educational center with all sorts of connections to all the institutions. And the only kind of lip service that was given to us for those ideas was, we got to connect to downtown business in some way, we got to have internships, and all that's happening. But there wasn't a whole lot of talk about how to connect with the art museums and the Hartford stage and all the things down here that we're learning about in these workshops and sessions once a month for a period of years. So I'm thrilled by this. I feel that the school's become more of a community. Certainly the humanities department is energized by it, and it is infiltrating into the rest of the school in very positive ways. I love the interdisciplinary part of it. I think that's the way teaching should be, and not divided into disciplines where no one really thinks about anything else. Literature itself that I teach is just too connected to history and art and music, and I'm sure if I walked through the Athenaeum with some of the experts, I could learn, I could bring in 50,000 different ways to find a story or a poem that's connected, and I intend to do that. It's made teaching more fun, because in a state school system, and we're like the no place left behind, no child left behind, a certain amount of regulation that we have to do, you know, and I don't like that. I don't like assessing things. I like getting interested. I think that this project has automatically communicated stuff to the 12 of us that's coming out in our classes in random, spontaneous ways that is having an impact on students. I know it is. I said last week, you know it is when a student comes up to you and says, that's the first play I've ever seen in my life, and I loved it. I'm sure it's happening to all the students who are going to different places. So it's an energizing thing. It's really important, and I can't be more proud to be a part of it. But I won't go on because I want to hear from the students.
Thank you, John. I'm very proud of this department. Fimi and John are not just the star pupils or something like that. You know, I mean, everyone is this enthusiastic about this project, and that's what really drives it. Besides the money, the support that we get, but this kind of enthusiasm for doing things that are going to really impact our students and are really going to build this kind of desire to connect with the community. So it runs throughout our department, and thank you, both of you, for sharing. I forgot to mention that another thing that we've done in our American literature class is we went on the Wallace Stevens Walk, which is the walk that Wallace, he never got a driver's license, never had a car. He walked 2 miles to work at the Hartford Insurance Company and back every day. And if you go on that walk now, his poem 13 Ways of Looking at a Blackbird has 13 stones with a stanza of the poem at each one, leading all the way to his house. And so we did a portion of that as a class. So that was another thing we did, really getting outside. But today with us, we have 4 students from my American literature class, Bismita Gameri, is right next to John Christie, so raise your hands and wave. Shanielle Hamilton, and Sidra Sumro, and Kristen Irwin. And what I would like, I don't know who wants to go first, but if one of you could begin by just sharing, how has this course had an impact on you and the sort of things that we've done outside of the classroom. Bismita, are you ready?
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you, Professor. When I first moved here from South Carolina about 2 years ago after I finished my high school, the only thing I knew about Hartford, that it was a city of insurance. I looked around, everywhere I saw this insurance building, and I thought, well, this is a very boring city. I felt like that for 1 year, and then I started taking American literature class at Capital Community College. And we started reading Uncle Tom's Cabin, and then we went to the Harriet Beecher Stowe house, Mark Twain's house, and I felt like, no, Hartford's not boring. It's very thriving in literature. This place, Mark Twain lived in this place, Harriet Beecher Stowe lived in the place, Wallace Stevens was here. This place is very connected to the history. So I really appreciated this class, this project, because we get to go out and see what the writers had done. And I felt like I was really connected to history myself, and I had a greater understanding of our literature, whatever we read, and I really appreciate this class. Thank you.
Thank you, Bismita. Who would like to speak next? Shanielle?
Sure.
Okay.
Hi. Well, I'm a person that I love learning new things, but I don't really like school that much, like being in the classroom. But I like this class because you don't just stand at the podium. You get and you sit in the seat, and we have a discussion and we talk about the reading, and the events, like the field trips, are like an extension of that, which I enjoy very much. To get out and experience what I've read instead of just looking at the words, just to have a different way to connect to the story. And yeah.
Was there any particular event that tour that we took, or
mostly I like the plays a lot. I do enjoy the museums because I like seeing the history, like seeing different aspects of the history, like different depictions, I should say, of that relate to the reading. But I like the plays because I like to see like things acted out for me, because reading is one thing. You have your own imagination, especially me. I'm a very imaginative person, and I love reading. Don't like writing so much, but I love reading. So I enjoy reading very much, but seeing it in front of you, it's a completely different experience. Like, because you take one thing away from reading, but then you see the actors and they took something else away from it, and you see a different part of the story that you hadn't read when you initially were reading it. And that is just having a different experience and having a different connection to it, seeing how someone else interpreted the reading.
Okay, before we hear from the other students, Shanielle, you brought up the theater experience, and I'd just like to share briefly about one of the things that happened because of this project that was not even in our vision when it started, and that is every time we meet at a museum or a cultural arts institution and we have our seminar, we start to find ways to connect and things that we can do. And our first seminar that was out of our building, which was our second seminar, was at the Hartford stage. And in that seminar, one of the things that we do is at lunchtime, we stay there and we have lunch catered there so we can talk with the people and get to know them who are located in that place. And we got into a discussion about how we could make a better connection between this world-class theater, which is right outside our window, and our college. And what we came up with was this new program that we started this semester called One Play. And every semester, our college focuses on one play at the Hartford stage. And just to give you an example of what we did in this first event was we had the playwright come to our college and speak. We had 90 students show up, 90 people show up to hear her speak. We had a teaching seminar at the Hartford stage for faculty who are interested, who are using the play in their courses, that included a study guide so that they could be prepared and they could use that with their students. We had we had discounted tickets so students could pay just $5 to see the play, and faculty and staff could pay $15 to see the play. We had 3 nights where those tickets were available, all in 1 week, and we had pizza parties, pizza receptions at the college just before 2 of those nights, so that we would all gather, we'd have a social time together, and then we'd go to the play. After the play was over, we had 3 actors come from the play to our college, and we had a discussion, and we had about 60 people show up for that, and we had this really lively discussion with the actors about the play. And this is something that was launched as just kind of an adjunct to what we started with this project. So lots of things build up from it. And that experience, I think, was I mean, it was great for my class because it's American literature. This is an American playwright. We also had Arthur Miller's The Crucible to go to, too. So it's just ideal for the subject that I teach. Sidra or Chris, who wants to go next? Yeah, Chris, do you want to? Okay. Do you want to just share something?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. I live on the border of Hartford and West Hartford. And I never like to admit that I live in Hartford. I always tell people that I live in West Hartford. But learning that Harry Beecher Stowe's house, she had a huge impact on America. And learning that her house was like 2 blocks down the street from mine, had a huge impact on the way I think about Hartford, and makes me proud to be here, live here, and makes me want to take care of the city a little bit in some way.
So by going and visiting these places and learning about someone like Harriet Beecher Stowe, it's given you a greater pride in the place where you live. Yeah. So you, now when people say, where do you live, are you?
Yeah, for the most part, yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's great. Thank you. Thank you, Chris. And Sidra, what has your experience been like in this class?
It has been very interesting for me because I'm not from United States. I'm from Pakistan, and I haven't really read much of American literature or any literature connected to America. But after reading Uncle Tom's Cabin and Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, I've come to realize that knowing the authors and where they come from, why are they writing, is important to understanding the book and the issues they have raised. So it was very interesting for me to go to the Mark Twain House and the Harriet Beecher Stowe, and watching the presentation that Craig Hodges and Sonia Green gave us. It gave me more perspective and opened my eyes to what the possibilities of learning, not just in the classroom, but outside of it too. The important experience that I get from this is that I didn't really understand what modernism was until I saw the paintings that was shown at our Athenaeum Museum, or Wadsworth Athenaeum Museum. What we started with was the painting of Hercules, fighting and telling the stories, and we moved on to Duchamp and Monet. So that kind of made it concrete for me, what modernism was. So it was very helpful for me.
Thank you, Sidra. And also as a result of our new collaboration with the Wadsworth Athenaeum, we've had some wonderful invitations from them to join them in activities. And in fact, Sidra and Chris, and also Noel in the back there, they won the lottery. I let the students respond to me for this invitation, but they got to go to the opening of Patti Smith's photo exhibition and hear her speak. She gave us a talk, and we had a reception, and so that was a fabulous opportunity. And we've had so those sort of things come out of building the relationships, and we're really thankful for our partners at the Athenaeum and other institutions who are represented here today. Now, we have about 5 minutes, so if there's anything, I don't know if any others of my students would like to share something. I know, Noel, you shared something the other day that was really, really nice. Would you want to talk about that?
About this paper to write down articles about Hartford. And the first thing I put down was exactly what a media portray about Hartford. High crime, high poverty, a broken school system. But now, since then, I've been in the class, it's really changed my perception. I believe things totally different by being the way that Hartford as a city influencing American village. So really, it's a great experience. I'm really very happy with the class and the way it is set up.
Thank you, Noel. Are there any questions?
Any other panelists want to share anything more?
Oh, okay.
Yes. Well, actually, the project formally began in January of this year, and we have a series of 18 seminars through next summer. And then what will happen is, and the culmination of that will be launching our new courses in the fall of 2012. Right, so that's the beginning of the courses, right.
And so will it be at like a degree of level, or is the idea that you're integrating local history in the community so every student in college would an introduction of her?
The latter. Basically, what these classes are doing is we are creating learning communities, two subjects taught together with a common theme related to Hartford. And what that comes out to look like and what exactly happens with it is going to be up to the professors who collaborate on that. So on our team, we have 14 professors, 14 faculty who are working together and then kind of working organically then from the bottom, saying, okay, well, who would I want to work with to put a course together? And what we would like these courses to be are like a freshman seminar or a first year experience type of course, because what will happen is, besides those two courses that go together, we will also have an hour of integration. So you will have your coursework, and then you'll have the integration hour, which is an hour and 20 minutes class, where the two professors will teach the students together and talk about how the two subjects are integrating under this theme, but they can also do study skills, research skills, academic advising, career advising. There are all kinds of things that can be done because you've got this cohort of about 25 students that you're going to be together with for 8 hours a week. Yes.
I guess for the students, because we've been talking a lot about how do you take your experience now and actually get it out to the rest of the community. I think your experience is wonderful and you've learned some really valuable things about Hartford. How do you then get that to your peer groups and others around you so that they can too get this interest and this excitement about Hartford?
For me, I talk to my friends whenever I'm going somewhere. I talk to them and tell them about what we are doing and what we are going to do, so they kind of get know more about it. If they want to come, I ask if they want to come. They usually say yes, so or no. I ask them, and my brother, he likes plays and he likes to go out too. So when we went to see the play, I asked him if he wanted to go, and he said yes. Then I talked to Dr. Partridge, and I talked to him about can he come. So it was just talking and communicating with our friends is a way to get this out.
Yes, Lester Primus.
Question concerning a similar type of question that I just asked, but just going to put it in a little different way. I recall a few months ago, someone gave me an article about Primus. I happened to get Primus in Hartford. Now, there was really no connection, but I did get excited from New York, and I thought people know Primus in Hartford. So my question is, in your studies and the experience you've had, do you find out, like, did you know related did something with Mark Twain or had an associated heritage stories, something along that line that can go to perhaps the younger generation and then maybe generate some excitement from that as a result of, the culture and the culture that Hartford does have, because that kind of connection to me just makes it a little bit more enticing and exciting, I would think. So not necessarily to an individual, perhaps to a group, a particular population, that you find out something related to, something that happened over the history within Hartford.
Right. Well, that is that's well put, and one of the things that we hope will happen with these courses is that students will find some of those personal connections or ways that their family might be connected, or just something that really interests them and inspires them about Hartford, even if it's not a personal connection. And I know, like Sidra, you have a classmate, right, who is,
her mother's family is related to Claude McKay. So I got to know about her family background and the house she lives in. It was interesting.
Yeah, where she's from in the Caribbean, she lives in the house, or she grew up in the house that belonged to Claude McKay, the famous Harlem Renaissance poet. So yeah, some of these things can happen. That wasn't, we have such a large Caribbean community, and so there are those connections. Bismita?
I was just going to add something on that. I'm actually from Nepal, so my cousins back there, they have read all these books, Uncle Tom's Cabin, Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, but they don't actually know how these books came into being. They don't actually know the connections. So after I went to all these houses, I told them about it, and now they have a better experience. They know better about the books, and they can actually appreciate it.
They know better about?
The books, or the history of the books.
Right.
So.
Yeah, good. Thank you, Bismita. Yes?
Do you have a sense yet of what the themes might be that these pairs of professors are creating, or is it too early?
It is a little early. I don't know. Do you have anything, Femi? We have worked on some of those things.
I think it's a little early because we're still trying to decide how we're going to pair up.
Right.
But we're excited about hearing them. Let's put it that way. But we don't really have a strong sense quite yet what the themes are going to be.
This next group of, we have consultants who are in the Learning Community Program at Holyoke Community College who've done a couple of seminars with us, but we're going to go up there and visit them in February and see how they do things there and what kind of courses they have. And all of this is helping us to build, and as we get to June, we will have solidified those partnerships and those themes. And we will end the whole program. The last two seminars is actually a 2-day retreat where we will spend 2 days together and really working in those teams to solidify the courses, which many of them will be launched in the fall. Yes, Ruth, also from our class.
Reach out to grade school children and high school children on field trips to come and practice. And when I take some art classes over the history art extremely helpful to them. And I think as they, as we talked about this morning, that's going to lead to civil attachment. I like that. There's some good words thrown out this morning. Civil attachment, so that you have a pride in your own town, and that you want to stay and be involved in the community, and then you will support the community, and you make a lot of money, then you maybe fall in love.
That's right. Or you can volunteer if you don't have the fortune to. Thank you. Yeah.
Right. Right, as Bill shared with us, right, exactly. Thank you, Ruth. Now, before I pass this back, because we're at the end of our time, and I want to get Sally here to make the closing remarks, but I do want to also thank members of my college in the leadership of our college. We have Lester Primus is the Dean of Administration. Linda Guzzo is the Dean of Continuing Education. She was here. I don't know if she still was able to stay till the end. Our president, the president of our college was here at the beginning, and we have John McNamara here from development and Jane Bronfman from marketing. We have people in a broad spectrum of this college, in the leadership of this college, who are invested in what we're doing. We're very thankful to have that kind of organization and that we have that kind of support. I want to thank all of you for the opportunity to share this with you, and if you have any questions for us, we're going to be around for a little while. My class is going to be taking a tour in a short while, but if you want to catch us, you can. I'll ask Sally to come up and make the closing remarks.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you. Thank you to everybody on the panel, to our colleagues who helped out today, to Jeff for this wonderful idea, and for Capital Community College for being such an incredible partner. And to Bill Hosley, who always inspires, and to all of you who came today and shared ideas with each other in conversation. This whole program, I started at the beginning of the day by showing a picture of my grandma and grandpa and telling their little stories, and how much they loved Hartford and how much this city meant to them. And it started in school, and it started with I think the kind of program you're doing now, where they did learn about literature in Hartford and things like that. And for those kids, growing up in the north end of Hartford, it stayed with them their whole lives. And as Sonia said this morning, they passed the baton on to me. And that's why I'm in this building today. And I think that all of you probably have similar stories about somebody handing down something about art or humanities or history or literature to you, and that's why you're here. And I liked this program today because it brought not just museum people talking to museum people, but we were able to integrate some students and professors from Capital Community College, and I think the more we open our dialogues and conversations, the better off everybody will be. So I really thank you for participating today. I know that the NEMA folks have to leave on a bus at noon, but you are welcome to stay here and look through the building if you haven't had a chance already. It is, I understand your bus took a very circuitous route to get here. It really is not an hour away from the hotel. It's about a 10-minute walk. Also, we're open tomorrow. So if you want to come back, I'll tell our staff if you just show your NEMA name tag, you'll get in for free and you can take a look at the building because it's a great building to see. I also have some handouts which I'll put up on the front table that just has a few links to things like the Civic Health Index website for the National Conference on Civic Citizenship, and also it will show you how to get to links from old State House programs that have been televised, so you can see those if you like, and also a couple of kind of weird books that I like that I think you might find helpful as you think through some things today. And this does have links on it. If you would like to email me, I will send this to you so you can just click and not have to plug in a bunch of weird numbers to come up with things. So thank you, and if you have things that you would like to share with us, please send them along. We really want this conversation to go on for a long time. So enough said. Thank you very much. Thanks again, Jeff, Bill, and our panelists.